with 4 Canadian teams fighting for playoff spots. Of course, the Sens and Habs, just heard about them. Also the Canucks and the Flames in the West. Craig, you're going to start us off. We want you to rank these teams as playoff opponents, assuming they all make it from least scary to most scary, and then Cheryl, as she wants to do, can react to each one of your picks, agree or disagree. So take it away, Craig. We're going to start with the least scary of those 4 teams.
Oh, that would be the Calgary Flames. There's no doubt about it. Hey, if they make the playoffs, that would be a huge win. They might even have a parade. But the Flames making the playoffs, least scary, I'm going to quote former Flames coach Daryl Sutter. It'll be a waste of 8 days.
That's harsh, Craig. What I was going to say, I was going to agree with you, but I'm agreeing with you because they're 32nd in the league for goals for. And you know goals are hard to come by in the playoffs, and the space closes up. And if you're not scoring in regular season, you're going to find it pretty difficult come playoff time.
And again, we're talking about 4 teams trying to just get in, get a wild card spot. So a little harsh right there, Mr. Button.
Yeah, it was harsh.
Let's go with number 3, least scary on your list.
I quoted Daryl Sutter. Come on, Daryl tells it straight. I'm not going to sit here and sugarcoat it. I like the Flames. Not this year, though. Number 3, the Vancouver Canucks. All the drama around them. They can't score either, Cheryl. And let's keep in mind, this is the wild card team that'll play the top team in the West. That's the Winnipeg Jets. Good luck. Good luck. Not scary. Can they win a game? Yeah. Could they maybe win 2? It'll be on the backs of Kevin Lankinen because they just don't match up against the Winnipeg Jets.
Mr. Button, I hope you don't have to eat crow on either one of those. But when I look at you, I have to agree with you. You know, they don't score goals right now, and their top players aren't getting it done in terms of on their score sheet. But I do defer to someone like Quinn Hughes, someone they defer to too often, and he's got to be the driver of play. A lot to ask for, considering how much he's done in this year and his health. Of course, Hedl out right now with concussion, a player that has a ton of speed who bolsters that lineup. So going to be difficult. Scoring goals is difficult. It's going to be tough to compete.
Okay, so we've scratched the 2 in the Western Conference, Canadian teams trying to make the wild card, and that leaves the 2 in the East. So number 2, least scary. I guess that would be, of the ones remaining, that would be the second scariest as well. Who do you got?
Yeah, I think it's the Montreal Canadiens. And the Montreal Canadiens right now, where they find themselves competing for a playoff spot, that in and of itself is screams successful season. That's where they wanted to be. They wanted to be playing at this point in the season in meaningful games. That's where they're at. Listen, when you look at the underlying metrics defensively and offensively, not very good. But when you start to get magic in a bottle and you can start to move forward, you can become a little bit more scary with respect to getting on what I call that wave. And when you can ride the wave of magic, there's no telling what could happen. Keep in mind, they'll play the powerhouse Washington Capitals. What happened in 2010? Cheryl, trivia question for you.
Listen, Craig, when you've been a winner, right? You've been a winner, you've won a cup. You know when there's belief in the room. And when there's belief in the room and you've got synergy and you've got a goaltender that's gotten 6-0-1 since the Four Nations face-off, all of a sudden you start playing differently. You have a confidence about, you got Hudson on the back end, you know, the deception there. You've got players like Struble, Gooley potentially coming back. And then you move into that wave, and you heard the panel talk about it, that top line, 16 points in their last 5 games. The secondary isn't there right now, but you got the PK of our Mia as well as Evan. So this is a real nice team if you look at the skeleton, you look at the pieces of this particular group. I think the biggest thing for them right now, and you hit it on the head, was playing that meaningful hockey. But once you're in it, Craig, you don't just want to carry the water bottles, right? You want to leave a lasting impression. They're playing the Sens tonight right now, and you know that Bell Center is going to be absolutely electric. So I think they'll feed off that energy, and I think there's going to be a run here.
And that leaves the Senators, Craig. They are your pick for the scariest playoff opponent among the Canadian teams fighting to get a wild card spot.
Yeah, scary. I mean, they set up to play the second place team in the Atlantic, and I don't want to exclude them. They might end up playing the third place team if they can get home ice. They found their game. Steve Staios said the status quo ain't working here. I'm not going to watch this anymore and have to answer questions at the end of the season for why we didn't make the playoffs for the 8th consecutive year. So when you look at the move he made, acquiring Dylan Cousins and sending a signal to the team, I don't believe in the team as it's currently constructed, so I'm changing it. Now go and do something about it. We know what Brady Tkachuk means to this team. You got Linus Ullmark. They got balance on the blue line. And to me, what they went and did on Saturday versus the Toronto Maple Leafs, they're capable of doing that. Nobody will be happy to face the Ottawa Senators in the playoffs. And we can talk about the magic of the Montreal Canadiens and everything. They're still not a very good team. The Ottawa Senators, on the other hand, they're a good team. They can win a round, maybe two.
And I'm going to agree with you on this one, Mr. Button, because I agree with everything you said, in particular what Steve Staios has done. You've always said they've got to be bold if you want to fight to win when it matters most, and they've done that. They've addressed their team's needs, whether it's goaltending, whether it's the back end, and now, of course, bringing Dylan Cousins in. But perhaps the biggest thing for me, and my eye always goes to the defensive side of the puck, is that they just shored up that metric. So they're in the right positions to transition the puck, to be able to use their team speed. And there's a confidence within this group. It's not just one line that's firing. You're looking at a third line right now with Pinto, Amadio, and Gregg that's doing some damage. They played against the Toronto Maple Leafs top line the other night, and they were very effective. So you're asking a young guy like Pinto in the center position to have that kind of responsibility and taking it to task. You're looking at a complete group right now that can find a way to win games.